Last time on MakeShift SMP, we expended a ton of effort and more than a little time gathering resources to build our brand new starter base. And in between episodes, we've made a few additions. I've just collected up all of the blaze rods I need to fuel our steam engine for a good long while. And today, we lay the foundations for instantaneous package delivery from our brand new storage system. Welcome back, ladies, and gentlemen, to Vi Plays Create on the MakeShift SMP. I'm coming at you from the base of my base, where I would like to... Oh my god, don't hit me. I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. Where are you? Come here. Come here. Idiot bird. Where I have installed a button. It's not polished, but it is here, and I have it, and I can now access my base from the outside. And boy oh boy are my frames really bad whenever I have shaders. So for now, I think I'm gonna keep the shaders off. I've just restocked my blaze rods. I also did kind of a dumb thing whenever I installed this. Like, this is on the inside, right? I just extended the storage unit to the outside here so I can see it on the outside face. And now I've got so much more storage inside this thing. And if I turn on Jade really quick, we can see we've got 4,000 blaze rods, which should be enough to hold us for a little while. But I definitely want to get some lava run over here from probably K-Saw, I think. He has an infinite lava source, and then I can just kind of use that to run my steam furnaces. It's going to be a whole heck of a lot more economical, and plus I kind of need the lava in here anyway, because I have an idea, or rather, we have an add-on mod that I can use to make a cobblestone generator without breaking any blocks. And I knew whenever I designed this base, I was going to be giving myself a lot of limitations when it comes to space, because I can't really just dig out the floor and run some cables and some pipes and stuff underneath that floor. No, I'm gonna have to make pretty much everything decorative, which I think is kind of a fun challenge. A lot of the time I can just, cover it up if I don't want to see it anymore, and I don't know. I kind of want to challenge myself. I think that'd be kind of cool. But as you can see behind me, I have installed a new elevator. And I was going to try and do some concealing work and things like that, but I kind of want to make these guys commonplace just around this place. It saves me a lot of space. If I don't have to hide something inside of a wall, it means that I'm not, sticking stuff on the outside or whatever. Again, space limitation. It's going to be like a big challenge that we're going to have to overcome whenever it comes to this base. So I'm going to have a lot of these guys on display all around the place so that I don't have to feel guilty about doing stuff like this where I have a button right next to it. And I've installed this elevator shaft. So now I can get up and down a little bit easier and a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. I went ahead and named these the loading bay, and then the upper area here is where we'll have the bridge. In a ship, I think whenever you have the area where the captain and everybody's doing crew stuff and things, at least in a spacecraft or Star Trek or whatever, I think they would call this place the bridge. Added some nice staircases up to there. And I went ahead and did a little bit of cover up right here, but I think what I'm going to probably end up doing is I'm going to end up tearing this out, and then I want to do a staircase up to this area, probably right through these windows, and then I want to be able to get up to that area right there, because that's going to be kind of like a little viewing thing. It's kind of cool, actually. I like it a lot. This is it's going to have a really, really cool view of the sky and stuff like that, and I think I'd like to have this be where we land any, hovercraft or anything like that. When building this base, I used a hovercraft to kind of get around the place. It's kind of like having creative flight a little bit, just kind of worse. But at any rate, we're going to be doing lots of renovations to this place, because accessibility to these different areas, I think, is going to be pretty important, at least to me. And one of the biggest limitations I think I'm going to be running into is the fact that I don't really have a great spot to put storage vaults. I want my storage over here to be automated. I want it to have lots of factory gauges, and I want it to restock things automatically without me needing to tell the system that things need to be restocked. And I don't really want to put storage up here because I need a lot of space to be able to process goods and things like that. So I think probably the best place to put a lot of these things are going to be up toward the tail of the spacecraft, and I can use one of these cool add-on mods we have for our vaults to make vertical item vaults, which will save me a ton of space laterally, meaning that I can kind of use this area to have 3 or maybe even 4 item vaults. I think this is where I want the console to be. I think this is where I want to be handling goods and crafting items, and I have a pretty cool idea for how we can do that. So what say we do a little bit of renovation work? I want to make all of this accessible, and I think that's priority number 1. So let's pop into a bit of a time lapse. Let's go. And I started off by swapping out a lot of these for copycat panels so that I can use the dark metal plating. It's a connected texture, and I think it looks just a little bit better. Then I went ahead and cleared out the space for us to get up to the area above, and I laid out some staircases. I do want this to be encapsulated. I don't want to just have a hole in my roof. So I made a little glass hallway, and I actually made an airlock system so I can actually get out to the roof. All right, staircase up to this upper sky viewing area is complete, and I did go ahead and add in some of these slopes right here. I ran out of glass, so these two are gonna, why are you invisible? Those are going to stay copycat slopes for a little bit. But for now, this area is now accessible. And I wanted to move on to the next thing. And I want to have, I think, 3 vertical item vaults. Full size in the tail segment right there. And then I would like to start laying out some of the areas of my workshop. Now, I went ahead and popped over into a creative test world to go ahead and set up a fan processing unit. But I need these things that I'm putting over here in this workshop to be super compact. So I did my best to actually give this a lot of compactness. Now, I'm introing this like I actually have the materials to build it. I don't think I do. So first things first, let's get some item storage in. And that means I need a lot of vaults. I need 3 full-size item vaults, which I'm pretty sure is 81. So I need 81 vaults per. And I do have a lot of pressed iron that I did to prep for this episode, but I don't think I have a lot of barrels. I have a few. I know I have tons of logs down in the base. So maybe I go ahead and request up these items. I'm going to need 81 times 3. Yeah, I do not have enough barrels for this. Okay, let's grab up a bunch more iron and let's head on down to the base. I also kind of want to dye these so that they're like kind of matching the base a little bit more. All right, and I believe that that's actually enough item vaults right there. 243, I think, is what I need in total. Yeah, I should have just about enough item vaults. But I did go ahead and start processing up some of that iron anyway. I just don't think I'm going to need more than a couple stacks of it. And that should definitely be more than enough. Now, what do the light gray vaults look like? I think I do want these to be the white item vaults. Ooh, 1 white dye. I do have a lot of bones, though. Ooh. Ah. Scoop that white dye up and then grab that right there. And then if I just go ahead and toss these on here with the Dragons Plus mod, I should be able to dye all of those white. And then it'll fit the vibe of the spaceship just a little bit better. And that should be all of that. I think this should be more than enough space. If I just go ahead and stick these ooh, I suppose I should make these vertical. Yeah, that very much fits the vibe with the limestone. Perfect size, actually. That's kind of crazy. Now, I do think I'm going to need to move this sequence here to another location. Perfect. And I think my door sequence should still work. Let's go test that. I hope it works. Open sequence. And yeah, that all works. All seems to be working just fine. Go back in. Okay, that part of the sequence is really long. Is it supposed to be that long? Nope. Something got messed up. Oh, and it went back inside. Killer timing. All right, all seems correct. Perfect. And now I think I can remove a little bit more of this floor and add in 1 more item vault. Perfect. And I know this seems pretty cramped, but again, I'm working with very little space. And once I get the chain conveyors and things in, this should all make a little bit more sense. Now, I've done a little bit of planning. It's not completely fleshed out, but essentially, I want to get my items from my storage system here over to where we are on the bridge. Now, I'm not trying to wait for chains and frog ports to send me items for like 5 seconds every single time. So we're going to do something a little bit fancy. We're going to use a minecart contraption for instantaneous item transport. If that sounds absolutely insane to you, I don't blame you. It's kind of advanced. It's kind of sick, actually. Now, this concept isn't actually a new thing. Essentially, I used this in the last series, actually, to move items upward. There's no vertical item vaults in my Viplays Create series, meaning that I can't move items upward in a very easy and simple way. So I used a minecart contraption with 2 portable storage interfaces on either end, and then portable storage interfaces connected to those to make an item elevator. I can actually send items from here to there instantaneously. And we're going to use this principle to send items from the very back of the ship all the way to the front. Essentially, all I need is to have some sort of portable storage interface in the physical world right here, and then I need to have a block of space, and then another portable storage interface that's going to be connected to our contraption that's going to run all the way up to the front. And then all I need are some packagers, a cart assembler, minecart, a couple blocks to block the minecart in, some redstone power, and once we get pipes and a portable storage interface over next to our console, all we'll need is a belt and a few funnels, and we'll have instantaneous item transport over to our console. So I'm going to grab up some copper and craft up a few fluid pipes, craft as many as I can into copycat fluid pipes. And by just offhanding the industrial iron, it'll instantly turn these into like an industrial iron fluid pipe looking thing. And I'm essentially making create mod item pipes, which I think is kind of ironic, and that's kind of why I did it this way. And then at this end, all we really need is a portable storage interface right here. And I think I actually want to stick this up one, so I'm actually probably going to go ahead and swap that to a full block. And then I should be able to use one of our fancy smart hoppers that's added by, I think, the Dreams and Desires mod to pull the items down and over. And it'll pull a full stack at a time. It's just a smart chute that you can kind of point in a direction. It's pretty fancy. And then all I got to do is super glue this whole thing together. And one final thing we need to add to this is a storage inventory, because it can't actually pass the items if there isn't something for the portable storage interface to put the items into. This thing should be ready to go. And then if I power that on, this end is obviously connected. The benefit of using these item pipes is that they would actually disconnect and it'd be really, really visible that they aren't super glued properly. And also the added benefit of using a contraption like this is that I can take some blocks and I can place them through the pipe, meaning that I won't be able to see these anymore. Not bad, right? Now, if it ever gets placed back in the world, it'll be a problem, but for now, that should be good enough. Perfect. All I'll need for the smart hopper is a hopper, a brass sheet, and an electron tube. And I can craft up a smart hopper. I do need a couple target blocks, and I don't have the wheat for it. Thank you for your service, Matter. I appreciate it very much. And dang, this place is really starting to develop. This is so cool. I wasn't super careful with where I was going to put this console, but I think I actually kind of want it more toward the front here, which means I think I need to disassemble the contraption there and add on a little bit more. Disassemble the contraption and add on a little bit more later. Now, if I want my output barrel to be central, and I did use the chipped mod to turn this into a metal looking barrel, by the way, I think I kind of want that to be like maybe even like right there-ish. Yeah, I think that could work. Essentially, all I need below that is a packager facing upward, because we are actually sending these items as packages. And then I need a dropper facing upward twice to get into here. And then I'm just going to need this guy to be facing into that. And I'm actually, I have to read these with comparators. And so I'm going to probably scoot it back a couple blocks. So with both packagers facing upward like that, I can just do some normal vanilla redstone with a comparator out, a repeater, and then run that right back around to here. So it'll actually power and depower, pulsing this, making sure the redstone connects up to this target block here. So we actually power the dropper as well. And then doing the same thing right here. And whenever the package gets received into this packager, it'll eject all of its contents right here into this barrel. And again, the last thing I'm going to need here is a portable storage interface looking back at me and a smart hopper facing into that. I'm sure there's probably a simpler way to do this, but I don't know. This is just what made sense in my head. Stick it over here facing that direction. Stick my full block right below that guy. Remove that bit of glue and then run some pipes over to here. And this should be free to reassemble. And now we have instantaneous package transfer. Heck yeah! Now, if I go ahead and set down a stock ticker right back here, remove that, I can go ahead and place down a seat right here in front of that. And this is where I'll put the entity that I'm going to use to interact with my storage system. Now, for now, I don't have any storage system connected up to this. So I'm going to grab my stock links. I'm going to make sure they're connected to this stock ticker. And I'm going to run over and connect the packagers up to these vaults over here. And now all three of these vaults are connected up to our system. The only thing I need to do now is give that belt some rotational power, which it's literally right there. Perfect. And I think since we've added the encased mod, I think I can encase these with industrial iron, and I can. That is sick. Now, I want to go ahead and test this system, but currently I don't have anything in the system, so I can't really do that. But I also don't have anything to access the storage system with, which is where the straw statue comes in. Yeah. The other day, Matter found out that if you use a straw statue in a seat next to a stock ticker, you can use that as your stock keeper, which is actually sick. And I'm going to do something pretty creative with this guy. But for now, I can access my system. How sick is that? Now I'm just gonna take some of these brass funnels and I'm just gonna dump a bunch of cobbled deep slate into there. And now, when I run back over to my console, I should have, oh yeah. And let's request the industrial floor. Oh yeah. That's fast. That's what I'm talking about. And granted, we haven't had a great reference for like how slow it can be whenever you do this sort of thing, because I didn't actually run any chain conveyors in here yet. And I do still want to do that because whenever I return the items, I don't need it to be instantaneous, and I don't really feel like sending all of my items through another contraption. No, I need the chain conveyors over here anyway for a lot of the automation, so I might as well add the chain conveyor return network as a completely separate thing. So let's get that installed. Something pretty important about returning packages to a multi-vault system is that the items have to cascade from one vault to the next. If this vault here fills up and I try to put input items into it, it'll cause a backup if I don't have some sort of system to send the items onto the next vault. Now, in my VPC world, you saw me do this with item vaults stacked on top of each other that would read the previous inventory, and when it filled, it would send the items onward. And in this system, I want to do something a little bit different. I'm just going to take a belt that is literally only that long. And if I set a vault right here with a packager and a frog port on top of that, I can then start to hook up my chain conveyor system. And I can swap the texture of that to industrial iron with our fancy new create encased mod. Now I can pick this froggy back up. I can assign it to right there on the chain conveyor system. And I'm just going to go ahead and name this Vi main, and then I'm going to mark this as an input. Now, if I go ahead and add a brass funnel output and andesite funnels here, here, and there, it'll have the opportunity to go into this vault first, this vault second, and then this vault third. And if we overflow completely, well, sucks to suck. It'll sit here on this belt until, packages start to pile up. But hopefully we won't get to that point. For now, this thing just needs a little bit of power. Perfect. And I can go back through and change all of these to the industrial iron blocks. Yeah, this mod is sick. And now I officially have a way to input items. Granted, the chain conveyor network is not set up, but I can get that taken care of real quick. Now, let's say I grab another barrel, face it that way, sit a packager on the backside here with a frog port on top. I can then throw a button on the front face here, and then whenever I want to return items, I can stick a bunch of them in here and then smack the button. The chains, again, are not on, but I can hook those up real quick. And now with a little bit of motion in the chains, which I will speed up later, I can pop over to here, smack the button, and I just realized I never actually gave this an address. Trying that again. If I give this a sign, name it Vi Main In. Now this has an actual location to go. I can give it an item, press the button, and it's going to send that package on its way. Go, little package, go. It's going to grab that, pull it out, and it's going to go straight into this vault. And now we can see I've got an industrial floor inside this vault right here. Meaning if I go back, I can request that back out again. Instantaneous transfer. Delayed insert. Now, I'm sure at some point that's going to get really annoying, so I might rework that. But for now, that's good enough for me. Okay, that was a lot of explaining and a lot of running around and placing a lot of things in, and I think I'm going to do some improvements. First and foremost, I want to get these chains moving a hell of a lot quicker, and then I want to get this front console thing kind of decorated up a little bit better than it is right now. So I'm going to do a fancy transition. You guys ready? I'm going to have these chains running all the way around the room, and this console is going to be decorated up with this fancy thing that I want to do. You guys ready? You ready? Whoosh. And I know it's not a ton of progress, but we've got a lot of stuff done here. As you can see, I have changed my straw statue into an actual monitor. I just went on like NameMC and found a skin that had like a monitor for a head. Thank you to Alacoster173 for having the skin. It kind of fit the vibe of what I was going for. And I did kind of nix the white barrels, and I've swapped these out for netherite instead. I should probably get a better button for this. But this is actually the netherite safe texture from Chipped Mod. It's still just a barrel. Nothing really different about it. And I actually kind of don't love the gold now that I'm looking at this. If I face that upward, it looks like a netherite block, which I think is kind of cool. And I wanted to have these systems separate. I want to be able to automate things, but I want that to be on a separate system because I don't need it to run through my instantaneous transfer, and it would actually really complicate a bunch of stuff. And I also have my storage here, which I've already started dumping some items into. I really need to clear this thing out. It's like full of a lot of stuff. I've added a couple crafting stations off to the side here and here, and we'll develop a little bit more with that stuff later on. I want to get probably all the chipped mod benches, which like we have a compatibility mod that actually makes the stonecutter kind of do everything, which I think is a little bit broken. I digress. And yeah, just behind these guys on the ground, we have these copycat boards that cover up our stock tickers. I've added a few spots where I can actually get down to the systems down here, just a little bit easier. I want to be able to get in and out of this area because I'm going to be running cables and probably powered and some stuff. I've also added one here to the base of the stairs. And this one's actually a little bit better concealed because, yeah. I also went ahead and added some copycat slabs to this area right here because these allow the light to pass through, and it actually lights up the area quite a bit better. It's much brighter now. Additionally, we also have max speed chains, and they do go all the way around the room. Essentially, all I had to do to get that in place was to add another rotation speed controller right here, and then I just routed the chains around and then over back to where we're connecting up to our belt here. And that sped up the belts and the chain conveyor system because on the backside here is where I connected up all of that stuff. Which is like, yeah, lots of stuff, lots of progress, but it doesn't actually look like that much. But we're getting to a solid point in the video to where we could potentially end it. But before we do, I have one more thing that I want to add. I want a fan processing unit, which is something I talked a little bit about earlier, but I want to have a way to send from my automation system to a bulk smelting, haunting, washing, and smoking contraption. And I'm also going to probably add something for dyes and like the powdered snow thing later on. But for now, this is fine. And I, like I said earlier, I designed this in a creative testing world, and I just want to pop this into the world with our schematic cannon. And I'm going to go ahead and take this schematic here, and I'm going to upload this to my Discord if you want to use this for yourself. It's a fairly early game solution. It only uses one fan to process each of these items. Ooh, I actually, looks like I left a little bit of ship in it. Maybe I'll clean that up before I post this up on my Discord. It only uses one fan per process, but I've set it up in a way that allows the items to drop from our inputs in infinite quantities. And then once they're processed, I'm going to set filters up here on the input funnels that will send back to our main system. While it'll be a little bit slower, it means I can process all of these goods in bulk, multiple stacks at a time. I don't have to wait on a belt to move them or stack up tons and tons of fans facing on the same spot. No, this will work great for my purposes. I think I'm going to do a chain probably across the room, maybe positioned in the center, and I don't want it to interrupt that chain either, so I think this is probably a pretty decent spot for it. Looks like I've got everything else though. Perfect. So what I'm going to need to do with each of these is I'm going to need to pick these frogs up, link them to our chain network, and rename them. And I probably should have turned this on a 180 because the actual output is on this side. Oh, it looks like I also should have removed the floor because I think I had this in a mode that wouldn't. Okay, hold on. And these things are actually, they're essentially just an item drain. I use these a lot to send items without rotational force of any kind, and I don't really need this process to be fast. It's just Dreams and Desires add these as an alternative to, for the aesthetics, because it just takes items and it just rolls them right across. Okay, and now the next thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to have filters for all of this. These guys up top here, these don't need filters. These are just automatic output. Anytime an item goes in here, I want it to be able to drop automatically. And I had to do this with a block of space between because funnels are actually a little bit smart, even andesite funnels. What they'll do is they'll drop an item, and if there's an item sitting at this height right here, like where my head is, it'll actually wait for that item to either get picked up or despawn. So by raising it a block, it allows these items to drop 2 blocks, meaning it's no longer reading that space. It doesn't have to sit and be patient. It'll just drop all of the items. My frogs are all named, but what I do think I want to do is I think I want to swap these around. I kind of want to send them this direction. And then if I send this to that chain network right there, I can go ahead and place that right there. And we can go ahead and name this Vi fan processing out. And I'm doing the Vi prefix on all of these because if I'm on a server, I don't want other people's networks trying to connect to mine if I have something named like fan processing. There's a really, really high chance that somebody else might use that terminology in the future. And if we all add our own prefix, that means we won't be like crossing logistics networks to try and get stuff done. So I have this set as the output. The name on that actually doesn't really matter. It's mostly for aesthetics. And then I can go ahead and name this. And this will be the address where this frog sends all of the items that come into this vault to. Now, all I got to do is give this a few vertical item vaults. Now, the last thing this should need is a redstone signal and a whole bunch of filters. And each of these is going to be a little bit different. I want this one here picking up any and all items that can't be smoked. So if I throw a kelp in here, we want this to be... and I really thought there would be something for this. If I do that, can be smoked. There we go. And we want to deny anything that can be smoked. And I go ahead and add that attribute to this list. I can then throw this inside the brass funnel, and it will now hold that filter. If I throw a kelp on the ground right there, it won't pick it up because it can be smoked. And that's how I'm going to do that for all of these. And one final one for can be haunted. Now this one here shouldn't need any filters. This is just passing the items from this input back here to this output here. Now I should be able to put back all of this glass. And that is the compact fan processing unit completely done. Last thing I got to do is give it some power. And I think I can just do that with the chain conveyors, like right up here, actually. Actually, another benefit of this system is that I don't really need rotation speed to be all that fast. Essentially, I only need 16 RPM so that the fan's processing distance can be 3 full blocks past the block that it's using to process. So if I actually grab out some of these adjustable chain gear shifts, I can slow down how much strain I'm putting on the system by like a lot. Yeah, so I should be able to do that and then power that one, and it's going to slow it down a lot. And now I can power that from the bottom. It'll power both of those, meaning that that's going to be going significantly slower. And I can just yoink that. Okay. And now it's all rotating in the correct direction. I think this is done, dude. I need a fresh clipboard. And I'm going to go around grabbing the different names of these guys. I think if I right click, yeah, and then this guy should only ever send, which is part of the reasons he doesn't really need a name. We're never going to be sending stuff to this guy. So he could probably just never have a name. And also, another cool thing we could do is we can give him some goggles. Since he's an output guy, yeah, if you right-click him with your goggles, he just kind of, yeah, I like that. It's kind of cool. If I grab out some raw ore here, maybe some crushed stuff, and I go ahead and send this into my system, it's going much quicker. It's quite the delay, but it's so much faster than it was a second ago. Now, what I think I can do is I think if I go into this, oh, wait, I've just realized I need to set up the packagers for the automation because I need to have separate packagers over there for that. So let's grab a couple packagers, a couple frogs, and now for the separate automation system, and I just realized I didn't grab any stock links. I want to take these stock links and I actually want to link this to the automation network right here. That's actually the stock ticker. It's kind of hard to see. But if I go ahead and do that, place down packagers on each of these, I will now link these to the automation stock keeper. Now I should be able to just give each of these frog ports a location to target. And I only ever want these guys to send. And I can give each of these guys goggles. I love it. Now, if I go over to my automation, I can see everything that's inside my system, but if I was to try and request something, it won't go to here. This guy doesn't need a package address, but this guy does, which is why I was going around to those different locations and picking up the different names of all those frogs. Now, if I go ahead and go down here, actually, can I do that vertically? I can. That's kind of goofy. If I stick that right there, I can go into here and now I can see the names of the different frogs that I can now use to automate. Let's go ahead and send this guy over to our blaster and we should see a package. Beautiful. It's going to drop that on the ground, and then once that gets smelted, it should go right into that vault, get sent over to there, and sent right back into the system. Heck yes. That's working beautifully. Let's send a bunch of netherrack to be smelted. Oh, I'm in the wrong one. This is why I have separate guys for this. I want to make sure that I don't go into my storage, try to send a bunch of stuff to me, and then accidentally send it to a smelter. That would be really bad, especially if it's like several thousand items. Let's send 704 to our blast unit. It's going to drop all those on the ground. It's going to smelt them up. Yes. Freaking heck yeah. That worked beautifully. And wow, I just edited up the clips of this episode. I was aiming for like 25 minutes and we're already at 30. Crazy. And I think that is where I'm gonna have to leave it. Not as much progress as I would normally make, but I wanted to actually talk through a lot of this stuff because I get a lot of comments that are like, I don't really understand how you did all that. So I broke it down quite a bit more in this episode. I hope it's not heartbreaking that we didn't make as much progress today. But I will tell you what, this is gonna make my life so much easier in the long run. Anytime I need to bulk smelt or bulk wash or bulk haunt, it's practically done for me. Oh, and one last little feature that I really liked about this contraption is that these are all accessible. If I want to do this manually, if I want to smoke a bunch of kelp and I don't want to have to send it all the way to my system or whatever, I can just pull it out of my system, walk over here and stick it in the barrel and it'll automatically start dropping it. Pretty nice, right? Yeah, I love this thing. I love it a lot. And it all fits within this kind of like, I guess it's like a 5x5. 5x6? Yeah, a 5x6. And I'm recording this pretty recently after the last upload, but I haven't had any comments come in that are naming our ship here. So I'll use this video as well. If you want to throw some name suggestions for our ship down in the comments, I'd appreciate it. Dang, this thing looks sick. I freaking love this ship. At any rate, I appreciate you so much for watching. If you like the video, like it, and if you want to subscribe, do it. And I will see you in the next one.